let me tell you the story of how a quiet neighborhood in Somerville, Oregon, turned into a suburban battlefield, and how one woman learned the hard way not to mess with the wrong grandma. It started as these things often do with a note, a bright pink sticky slapped onto my side mirror that read in looping cursive first warning, compliance violation, signed by someone calling themselves HOA Officer Deborah. Problem is, our HOA doesn't have officers. It's just a group of volunteers who meet every other Thursday over Costco snacks and argue about mulch. And the last I checked, none of them were named Deborah. The note accused me of an entire list of offenses. My Dodge Ram was apparently too tall, my custom exhaust intimidating, and my bumper sticker, I break for no one, a threat to public peace. But the real kicker, she called my parked truck a visual aggression device. Now, full transparency, I love my truck. My dad and I built it up over 2 summers. It's my pride, my freedom, my rolling therapy. So when I saw Deborah had also posted blurry photos of it in the HOA Facebook group with captions like "Diesel tyranny at our doorstep," I knew something was off. What I didn't know yet was that this was personal. Deborah wasn't just some crank with a clipboard. She had a grudge. See, her son used to date my sister. It ended badly, like restraining order badly. And ever since, Deborah's made it her mission to restore order to the neighborhood, one passive-aggressive crusade at a time. At first, I tried to brush it off, but then came the emergency HOA meeting. Deborah dragged 2 of her closest friends, Barb, who once fined a neighbor for mismatched patio chairs, and Glenn, who only showed up for the donuts. She brought a slideshow titled "Curb Appeal and Civil Decay." A truck story. It had zoom-ins of my license plate, like it was a mugshot. She proposed a new bylaw. No vehicle taller than 6 feet could be parked within 30 feet of any window. No one took her seriously until she pulled out a tape measure and started pacing through people's yards like she was auditioning for CSI Suburbia. The next day, 3 homemade signs went up on utility poles. Tall trucks, small minds. One read, another, community over chaos. And beneath all of them, her signature, Deborah. But the final straw, she emailed me a PayPal invoice for $200 in HOA non-compliance penalties. That's when I called the big guns, my grandmother. You see, Grandma Marie isn't your average tea-sipping retiree. She's the head investigator for the Oregon State DMV Compliance Division. And she didn't just read the vehicle codes, she wrote half of them. When I showed her the invoice, she nearly choked on her peppermint tea. She thinks she can regulate this, Grandma said, scrolling through Deborah's posts. Bless her little power-hungry heart. The next morning, Deborah showed up with a clipboard, rollers still in her hair, and demanded I move my industrial death machine or she'd initiate immediate removal. I asked under what law. She smirked and said, Section 6(4)(2), Executive Powers. I looked it up later. Section 6(2), it's about mailbox height standards. Still, she wasn't bluffing. At 6:30 a.m. sharp, a beat-up tow truck idled outside my house. The drivers looked confused. "Ma'am," one asked. "Deborah, is this your vehicle?" "No," she said, thrusting a forged removal order. "But I'm authorized." He blinked. "We don't tow off private property without a release form. That's illegal." Deborah stammered. "Well, I emailed one to myself last night." That's when Grandma stepped outside, calm, collected, holding a manila folder, thicker than a courtroom indictment. "Gentlemen," she said, smiling, "you may want to hear this." She handed Deborah a cease and desist from the DMV itself, citing impersonation of an enforcement official, illegal towing threats, and fraudulent documentation. Deborah's face turned red, then pale, then this strange beige color like she was rebooting. But she wasn't done. She escalated big time. She emailed the city council, the fire marshal, the mayor's office, and even the local library for some reason. Subject line, "Diesel Terror" on Elm Street. She included 6 grainy photos of my parked truck, one with flames drawn in crayon coming out of the tailpipe, labeled Fire Hazard Zone. She claimed I was running a mobile emissions factory and that my truck was emotionally traumatizing a neighbor's cat. But the city didn't just ignore her. They invited her to present her case at the monthly public review board. Deborah thought it was her moment. She showed up with a binder titled Operation Street Purge, a pie chart labeled Horsepower versus Happiness, and a flowchart that somehow linked my truck to declining civility. Then Grandma stood up. She calmly submitted compliance reports, DMV certification, a statement from the fire department, and my favorite, a 72-hour surveillance clip of the truck completely motionless. The board dismissed Deborah's complaint as theatrical and non-actionable. One member even wrote, "Possibly unwell," in their notes. Now, any sane person might have called it a day, not Deborah. 2 nights later, Paul the Gnome caught her. Let me explain. After the whole glitter bomb incident. Yes, there was a glitter bomb, long story. We installed a second ring cam inside, a hollow lawn gnome. His name is Paul. He's a hero. At 3:13 a.m., Paul caught Deborah sneaking up to my truck dressed in all black, armed with neon orange violation stickers and a GPS tracker. Yes, she crawled under my truck and attached a magnetic tracking device on camera. The next day, we filed a police report. The responding officer, Officer Ruiz, said, "This is the weirdest case I've seen this month. And last week, I had a guy try to register a boat as an emotional support vehicle." Deborah was served a notice of investigation. Her HOA privileges were suspended. Someone made a meme of her night vision footage titled Karen Bourne, Suburban Spy. She tried to recover by filing a civil lawsuit against me. Her claim: emotional distress, visual pollution, and unsolicited diesel exposure. In court, she wore a neck brace and showed a sketch of my truck in flames, drawn in glitter pen. The judge, a retired Marine, asked, "Ma'am, are you saying this legally registered truck gave you spinal trauma?" "Yes," Deborah said solemnly, "and psychic distress." Then Grandma played the glitter bomb footage in court. Case dismissed. By the time the dust settled, Deborah had been banned from all HOA activity, flagged by the city's legal office, and had her fake towing orders forwarded to the state attorney. But karma wasn't done yet. The DMV did a routine property audit. Turns out, Deborah's own driveway encroaches on a city setback zone, meaning her car not allowed to park there. Now she has to park on the street, right in front of my truck, every single day. Sometimes I wave. Sometimes Grandma leaves her a thermos of tea with a sticky note that says, "Still parked, still legal, still smiling." And Paul the gnome. He now has a tiny LED spotlight. At night he glows. So what's the lesson here? Don't wage war over a truck, especially when the person you're up against has a grandmother who literally wrote the law. But more than that, this story's a reminder of what happens when small power gets mixed with big egos and personal vendettas. HOAs are meant to build community, not wage suburban crusades. So tell me, have you ever dealt with a neighbor like Deborah or a power-hungry HOA board? Drop your story in the comments. I'd love to hear it. And hey, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this with someone who's ever had to battle HOA madness. Because let's be real, we all know a Deborah.